Okay, let's do this quickly, guys, okay? Yep, okay. Let's make our filming lesson. Done. Hello, class. How are you doing today on Zoom? Pretty good, pretty good. Okay, anyway. So yeah, welcome to this week's filming lesson. You're at home, right? Or at residence? I'm at Lowe's College residence, with only Mimi on top of the stairs, only at a modern residence. Yeah, the town residence go right down that way, right? You did a really good job at work. Thank you. Now teach us. Okay, I've got your laptop, so yep, teach us how to do it. Okay, well, you can teach yourself, right? Yep, I have to teach you class about filmmaking lesson, okay? Okay, well, I might not be here at Lowe's College that day. Well, it's March break, cause I had to go to Walt Disney World again to go to Epcot by by this week. Okay, so let's get on to this filmmaking lesson on myself, alright? You have to listen to this, alright? Okay, good. Alright, on today, I will be doing Driving Miss Daisy 1989 film. Here's a plot to this film. In 1948, Daisy Wharton, or Miss Daisy, Jessica Tandy, a 72-year-old wealthy, Jewish, widowed, retired school teacher, lives alone in Atlanta, Georgia. Except for a black housekeeper, Adela, Esther Rowe. When Miss Daisy drives her 1946 Chrysler Windsor into her neighbor's yard, her 40-year-old son Bully, Dan Aykroyd, buys her a 1949 Hudson Commodore and hires Hawk Colburn, Morgan Freeman, a black chauffeur. Miss Daisy at first refuses to let anyone else drive her, but gradually accedes to the arrangement. As Miss Daisy and Hawk spend time together, she gains appreciation for his many skills after Adela dies during the spring of 1963. Rather than hire a new housekeeper, Miss Daisy decides to take care for her own house and have Hook to do the cooking and the driving. The film explores racism against black people, which affects Hook personally. The film also touches on the anti-Semitism in the South. After her synagogue is bombed, Miss Daisy realizes that she is also a victim of prejudice, but American society is undergoing radical changes, and Miss Daisy attends a dinner at which Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gives a speech. She initially invites Bully to the dinner, but he declines and suggests that Miss Daisy invite Hook. However, Miss Daisy only asks him to be her guest during the car ride to the event and ends up attending the dinner alone, with Hook insulted by the manner of the invitation. Listening to the speech on the car radio outside, Hook arrives at the house one morning in 1971 to find Miss Daisy agitated and showing signs of dementia. Believing she is a young teacher again, Hook calms her down with a conversation in which Daisy calls Hook on her best friend, Bully, arranges for Miss Daisy to enter a retirement home in 1973. Hook, now 85 and rapidly losing his eyesight, retires. Bully, now 65, drives Hook into the retirement home to visit Miss Daisy, now 97. He then feeds her pie. The final scene is an image from him driving her for the first time in the red Hudson. Alright, on tomorrow, we will be doing Promising Young Woman, 2020 film by Black-tailed Prairie Dog and North American Beaver, came with friends. Here's a plot to this film. Cassie Thomas is a 30-year-old medical school dropout who lives with her parents in Ohio. Years earlier, her classmate I. Monroe raped her best friend Menina Fisher. The school and legal system dropped the investigation. Now Cassie spends her nights feigning drunkenness in the clubs, allowing men to take her to their homes and revealing her sobriety when they try to take advantage of her. At the coffee shop where she works, Cassie is asked out by her former classmate, Ryan Cooper, and their date. He mentions that I is getting married. Cassie begins a plan to exact revenge on those she holds responsible for Nina's rape. She meets Madison McPhee for lunch, an old friend who did not believe Nina was raped. She gets her drunk and hires a man to take Madison to a hotel room. The next day, Cassie listens to several voicemails from a distraught Madison who has no memory of what happened. Cassie targets Elizabeth Walker, the medical school dean who dismissed Nina's case for lack of evidence. Cassie lures Elizabeth's teenage daughter into their car by posing as a makeup artist for a pop band. Later, Cassie meets Walker under the pretense of resuming her education and questions about Nina's case. When Walker explains away for her actions, Cassie tells her she dropped Amber off at a dorm room with drunk male students. Walker, terrified, apologizes for her inaction, and Cassie reveals Amber is safe at dinner time at a diner. Cassie forgets to meet Ryan for a date, disappointing him. That night, Cassie lures a man into taking her home. As they are walking out of the bar, they run into Ryan. Hurt, Ryan leaves. The man realizes that Cassie is sober and recognizes her from when his friend picked her up. Cassie visits Jordan Green, I's lawyer, who had harassed Nina into dropping her charges. When Green expresses remorse for his actions, having suffered a mental breakdown over his guilt, Cassie forgives him. After visiting Nina's mother, urges her to move on. Cassie abandons her revenge plans. Cassie apologizes to Ryan and they fall in love. Madison confronts Cassie outside her house, desperate to know what happened after their lunch. Cassie reassures her that nothing happened. Madison gives Cassie an old phone containing a video of Nina's rape before threatening her to never contact her again. Cassie sees Ryan among the raped bystanders. She confronts him and threatens to release the video unless he tells her where I's bachelor party is being held. Ryan tells her and begs for forgiveness, but Cassie refuses. Cassie arrives at I's bachelor party posing as a stripper, drugs I's friends, and takes I upstairs. She handcuffs him to a bed and reveals her identity. As she tries to carve Nina's name into Al's stomach, he breaks free and suffocates her. The next morning, I's friend Joe consoles him and helps him burn Cassie's body. Cassie's parents file a missing person report, and the police begin to investigate. Ryan tells police that Cassie was mentally unwell and does not tell them where she was going. Green receives a package from Cassie with a video of Nina's rape and instructions to follow if she does not return. Cassie's co-worker at the coffee shop, Gail, discovers half of the heart necklace with Cassie's name under the cash register. Cassie wore the matching half with Nina's name on it when she was killed. The police discover her burnt remains as well as the necklace and arrest I at his wedding. Ryan receives several scheduled texts from Cassie, signed with her and Nina's name. Alright, on Wednesday, we will be doing Songbird 2020 film by Japanese crested ibis and scarlet ibis by Kimono Friends. Here's the plot in this film. By 2024, the COVID-19 virus has mutated into COVID-23, and the world is in its fourth pandemic year. In the United States, people are required to take temperature checks in their cell phones, while those infected with COVID-23 are taken from their homes against their will and forced to quarantine camps, also known as Q zones or concentrating camps, where some fight back against the brutal restrictions. In these camps, or infected are left to die or forcibly get better. Nico Price, a motorbike courier with immunity due to the fact he was infected with the virus, is in a virtual relationship with Sarah Garcia, a young artist living with her grandmother Lita, whose lockdown prohibits them from physical contact. Nico works for Lester, who specializes in delivering packages to wealthy individuals. One of their biggest clients is the Griffins. Piper and William, whose daughter Emma has an autoimmune disorder. William is a former record executive having an affair with May, a singer who makes a living online selling covers of classic songs. May develops a bond with Michael Dozer, a disabled war veteran who works for Lester as a drone operator to keep track of their couriers. One night, Lita begins to show symptoms of COVID-23 while the sanitation department, led by Emmett Harland, is forcing Sarah's neighbor Alice out of her apartment after getting infected. Harland warns Sarah that their apartment building has seen a rise in infections. Sarah informs Nico about Lita's condition, leading Nico to spend the night by Sarah's apartment door. In the morning, Sarah passes her temperature check, but Lita fails hers. Nico promises to keep Sarah from being taken. Nico contacts Lester to let him know that he's aware that they are transporting illegal immunity wristbands. Lester tells him the Griffins are the ones selling them. When he goes to their house, the Griffins give Nico the phone number of their supposed supplier. Nico ends up meeting with Harland at a warehouse, revealing it to be a trip which Nico escapes. As Sarah is waiting for Nico, Lita dies. The sanitation department arrives to bag Lita and detain Sarah. Sarah knocks out one of the members and takes his hazmat suit before escaping the building. Harland and his team ultimately catch up to Sarah, where he notes that Sarah has yet to show symptoms of COVID-23, despite her exposure and is therefore immune. Sarah is detained shortly afterwards. William demands to see May again, but May continually refuses, claiming she recorded him offering her an illegal immunity wristband. Piper overhears William's phone call with May and kicks him out of the house. William leaves to silence May, which Piper calls her to warn her about. May asks Dozer if she can stay with him, which he agrees. When trying to leave, May's car won't start. William arrives and tries to kill May, but Dozer uses a weaponized drone to kill William and save May. Nico returns to the Griffins and confronts Piper, who says she was concerned. Nico was trying to expose their illegal business. When Nico says he's only interested in saving Sarah, Piper finally agrees to help and gives him a wristband for Sarah. Nico returns to Sarah's apartment to find Harland, who tries to attack Nico, is ultimately killed by Nico in self-defense. Nico finds Sarah's cell phone with a picture of the containment van and its tail number. With Lester and Dozer's help, Nico races to the Q zone before Sarah can be taken in and is able to slip her immunity bracelet on her in time to be scanned, saving her from quarantine as they embrace for the first time. Sarah tells Nico she is truly immune. In the aftermath, Piper and May frame William and Harlan as those responsible behind the sale for illegal immunity wristbands. May and Dozer begin a virtual relationship. Nico sends Lister on his own immunity bracelet as thanks, while he and Sarah end up in the Pacific Coast Highway. Alright, on Thursday, we will be doing Horton and Hears a Who 2008 film. Here's a plot to this film. In the jungle of Newell, Horton the elephant, the jungle's eccentric nature teacher, hears a tiny yelp coming from a dust speck. Believing that an entire society of macroscopic creatures are living on that speck, he gives a chase to it before placing it on top of a flower. Horton finds out the speck harbors the city of Whoville and its inhabitants, the Whos, led by Mayor Ned McDodd. Though Who's family includes his wife Sally, 96 daughters whose names all begin with the letter H, and one teenage son named Jojo. Despite being the oldest child in the next in line for the mayoral position, Jojo does not want to be the next mayor. He does not talk because he is so scared of disappointing his father. Once Horton begins carrying the speck with him, the city starts experiencing strange phenomena, earthquakes, and changes in the weather, and the mayor finds his attempts to caution Whoville challenged by the town council, led by the opportunistic, yet condescending chairman. After he makes contact with Hornet, the mayor finds out that Dr. Mary LaRue that Whoville will be destroyed if Horton does not find a safer, more stable home with the help of his best friend Morton. Horton decides to place the speck on top of Mount Knoll, the safest place in the jungle. The head of the jungle with the sour kangaroo, who refuses to believe that the Whos exist, demands numerous times that Horton give up the speck and overshadowing her authority. But Horton refuses. Also taking force toward Horton are the Wickersham brothers, a group of monkeys who like to cause anybody havoc and misery. And eventually, the kangaroo enlists a sinister vulture named Vladikov to get rid of the speck by force. After a few failed attempts, Vlad manages to steal the flower away from Horton and drops it into a massive field of identical pink flowers, causing an apocalyptic tremor in Whoville. After unsuccessfully picking 2,999,999 flowers, Horton eventually recovers the flower, exactly the 3 millionth flower, also revealing himself to the rest of Whoville. The kangaroo eventually finds out that Horton still has a speck, and she rallies the jungle community into arresting Horton, preying on their fears that their own children will become chaotic delinquents under his influence. Upon cornering him, the kangaroo offers Horton a final chance to renounce Whoville's existence. Horton refuses, and despite the heartfelt speech that he gives, the kangaroo orders the animals to rope and cage him and to have the speck and Whoville destroyed in a pot of bezelnut oil. The mayor enlists all of his people to make noise by shouting, "Here we are here," as well as playing a variety of instruments so that all the animals many hear them, assisted by JoJo's symphonophone, an invention which creates a huge musical contribution and reveals that JoJo's true passion is music, but still fails to penetrate the surface of the speck. The kangaroo snatches the flower from the weakened and captured Horton and prepares to drop it into the pot. Meanwhile, Jojo grabs the horn used to project Horton's voice, runs up the highest tower, and screams "Yawp!" breaking through the sound barrier. Just seconds before the speck hits the oil, Rudy, the kangaroo's son, grabs the flower and proclaims he can hear it, and the other animals of Newell notice that they can hear it too. Despite his mother's objections, Rudy returns the flower to the released and recovered Horton, while the animals, realizing the truth about the Who's existence, isolate the kangaroo for deceiving them and for trying to crush Horton's spirit, while being praised for his integrity by his neighbors. Horton forgives a devastated and regretful kangaroo who befriends with him with a makeshift umbrella for Whoville. The film ends with the Who's and the animals of Newell gathering a recite of the chorus from Can't Fight This Feeling by Real Speedwagon, and the narrator revealing that the jungle of Newell and Earth as a whole is just one speck, while like Whoville, among numerous others, floating in outer space. Alright, on Friday, we will be doing Big 1988 film by Tom Hanks. Here's a plot in his film. 12-year-old Josh Baskin, who lives with his parents and infant sister Rachel in Cliffside Park, New Jersey, is told that he is too short for a carnival ride called the Super Loops. While attempting to impress Cynthia Benson, an older girl, he inserts a coin into an unusual antique arcade fortune teller machine called Zoltar and makes a wish to be big. It dispenses a card stating, "Your wish is granted," but Josh is spooked when he notices that it has been unplugged the entire time. The next morning, Josh has suddenly grown into a full-fledged adult. It turns out the Zoltar machine can actually make wishes come true. He tries to find the machine, only to see an empty field. The carnival having moved on, returning home, he tries to explain his predicament to his mother. He refuses to listen and then threatens him, thinking he is a stranger who is kidnapped by her son. Fleeing from her, he then finds his best friend, Billy, and convinces him of his identity by singing a rap, which only they know. With Billy's help, he learns that it will take at least 6 weeks to find the Zoltar machine again, so Josh rents a flop house room in New York City and gets a job as a data entry clerk at the Macmillan Toy Company. Josh meets the company's owner, Mr. Macmillan, at FAO Schwartz, and impresses him with his insight into current toys and his childlike enthusiasm. They play a duet on a foot-operated electronic keyboard, performing Heart and Soul and Chopsticks. Macmillan invites Josh to a massive marketing campaign pitch meeting with the senior executives. Unimpressed with the toy, Josh shocks and challenges the executives with a simple declaration that the toy is not fun, and while his follow-up suggestions invigorate the team for new ideas, he earns the animosity of Paul Davenport, the pitch's leader. Pleased for Macmillan, promotes Josh to his dream job, getting paid to test toys as vice president in charge of product development. With the promotion, his larger salary enables him to move into a spacious luxury apartment, which he and Billy filled with toys. A rigged Pepsi vending machine that dispenses his free drinks, and a pinball machine. He soon attracts the attention of Susan Lawrence, a fellow Macmillan executive. A romance begins to develop, much to the dismay of her wealthless former boyfriend and co-worker Davenport. Josh becomes increasingly entwined in his adult life by spending her time with her. Mingling with her friends and being in a steady relationship, his ideas become valuable assets to Macmillan Toys. However, he begins to forget what it is like to be a child, and his tight schedule now means that he never has time to hang out with Billy. Macmillan asks Josh to come up with proposals for a new line of toys. He is intimidated by the need to formulate the business aspects of the proposal, but Susan says that she will handle the business and he comes up with the ideas. Nevertheless, he feels pressured and longs for his old life. When he expresses doubts to Susan and attempts to explain that he is really a child, he interprets this as fear of commitment of his part and dismisses the explanation. Josh learns from Billy that the Zoltar machine is now at Sea Point Park. He leaves in the middle of presenting the proposal to Macmillan and the other executives. Susan also leaves and encounters Billy, who tells her where Josh went. At the park, Josh finds the machine, unplugs it, and makes it a wish to become a kid again. He is then confronted by Susan, who, seeing the machine that the fortune it has given him, realizes that he was telling the truth. She becomes despondent at realizing their relationship is ending. He tells her that she was the one thing about his adult life and that he wishes would not end, and suggests that she use the machine to wish herself younger. She declines, saying that being a child once was enough, and takes him home. After sharing an emotional goodbye with Susan, he becomes a child again before reuniting with his family. The film ends with Josh and Billy hanging out together as the song Heart and Soul plays over the credits. Alright, that's all the home video releases we got. So second, I will be doing TV series over home video releases. On today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I will be doing Winnie the Pooh playtime videos. The episode is called, the VHS collection is called Detective Tigger, Cowboy Pooh, Pooh Party, Fun and Games, and Happy Pooh Day. Alright, that's all the TV series, all the home releases we got. So third, we will be doing Mama Monkey Pictures and Roman Cow Productions and Donkey Teeth Company shorts, but I would do it on spring break. It is about Tom and Jerry the Yankeedoodle Mouse, 1943. Here's a plot in the shorts. Tom pursues Jerry through the cellar, but the mouse successfully dives into his mouse hole. Tom peers into the hole, and Jerry launches a tomato from a mousetrap into his face. Jerry then climbs up the wall and grabs a handful of eggs from a carton marked hand grenades. As Tom wipes the tomato off his face, he is promptly covered in egg. The one hit to the eye, leaving the effect of him wearing a monocle. Jerry shoots off the corks from a champagne case, knocking Tom into a tub of water with only a pot to keep him afloat. The mouse promptly launches a brick from a spatula, sinking both the pot and Tom, leading to the first war communique message. It reads, "Sighted cat, sank same." Signed, Lieutenant Jerry Mouse. Later, Tom approaches Jerry's mouse hole with a cheese and a mullet in his hand, while Jerry uses a pipe as a makeshift periscope to observe. Spotting this trap, Jerry instead opens the ironing cupboard, sending the board crashing onto Tom's head. Jerry charges the board on the Jeep made from a cheese grater attached to a roller skate, tearing Tom's fur as he speeds past twice, after which the Jeep crashes into a wall, sending a sack of flour tumbling down. Adapting quickly to the situation, Jerry grabs the sack and spreads a makeshift flour smokescreen which blocks Tom's vision but not Jerry's. He smacks the nearly blind Tom in the rear with a board 3 times, but eventually Tom falls to the ground facing the mouse. Jerry slaps Tom for a 4th time before the cat can do anything and then runs for it. Tom, now wearing Bull as an improvised helmet, throws a stick of dynamite towards Jerry, who immediately throws it back to Tom. This continues until Jerry performs reverse psychology by taking it from Tom, provoking the cat to steal it back, and this new cycle to continue until Jerry leaves Tom to witlessly hold the stick, which explodes, and Jerry jumps into its tea kettle to escape the cat's wrath, but Tom sees him and throws another firecracker into the kettle. Jerry panics, but the oxygen has run out and the mouse escapes through the spout with no explosion. The puzzled cat opens the kettle's lid and sticks his entire head in just as a firecracker goes off, making him like a sunflower. The sunflower gag was removed in Cartoon Network in the late 1990s and early 2000s due to the short's blackface reference. Continuing his attempts to defeat the mouse, Tom launches a paper plane with a firecracker hidden on top, but Jerry blows it back beneath Tom, who barely spots the firecracker before it goes off and is again black in the face. Jerry then plants an enormous stick of dynamite behind Tom. The cat sees it and screams in terror until the cracker splits into successively smaller sticks, ending with a minuscule replica of the original firecracker. Tom laughs, believing this to be harmless, but the dynamite explodes powerfully. Jerry then goes through a hole in a barrel and jumps into a makeshift plane fashioned from an egg carton, launched and from a slingshot made from a rubber band. He drops a succession of light bulbs, one of which hits Tom's head, and a banana bomb, which hits Tom's face. Tom grabs a Roman candle and skillfully shoots down Jerry's now weaponless plane. Piece by piece, Jerry uses a Messiah to parachute from the plane, but is again shot down by Tom. Jerry races into his mouse hole to escape, but Tom pushes another Roman candle into the hole and fires off 6 shots. The fireball pursues Jerry through the mouse hole, through the barrel, going back and forth until he leads them into a hose, which he shoots like a machine gun into a barrel where Tom is standing. The barrel explodes, leaving Tom riding the remaining parts of the barrel like a bicycle, which then crashes into the wall. Recovering, Tom fires a dart gun at Jerry, which hits him to the tall tail as he again attempts to dive into his mouse hole. Tom grabs Jerry and ties him to an ignited rocket. Jerry pretends to help himself to be tied up, but tricks Tom into strapping his own hands onto the rocket. Jerry emerges from the ropes and Tom does not realize what has happened until Jerry waves at him. Tom fails to blow out the fuse, and the rocket shoots high into the sky and explodes. The explosion forms the stars and stripes. Jerry proudly salutes the flag, and the final war communique is displayed, in which reads, "Send more cats," signed by Jerry. Alright, that's all the shorts we got. On 4th, we will be doing Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. I will be doing that by March break. The story continues when Mei goes to Epcot again with the Magical Girls, and whenever Tsukasa realizes that the only attraction was going to be Flower and Garden Festival, and the restaurant called Space 220 in Epcot, B&B Sing-Along in Epcot, and Canada Far and Wide in Epcot, and an Awesome Planet at Epcot. The film ends with a Nana Buri nonstop anime that Mimi was watching, and they stayed at Makoto Suetai's house, and Mimi finally gets her sleeping bag, and then she slept in the floor with only a dog in it. All right, that's all we got for today. That's all I got for today. Let's do some work now, and I'm gonna do my work this time. Now you've got that already? Yep. Okay. Anyway, let's just say goodbye for now. So long, Classy Two Cents. Okay, bye. Bye.